You're gonna want to be here after this one. We're gonna share some stories. We're gonna learn more about Jarv and his awesome journey as a content creator, as a YouTuber with almost 5,000 subs, man. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Cheers, dude. That's 5,000 in, well, just under 5,000 in 8 months. So yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy 8 months. Just excited to see what the next 8 months has in store, where I'll be at the end of the year. But I try not to think about the numbers and just focus on the next video. That's the best.
Focus on the content. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And for anyone who does not know Jarv, you should go check him out. We will have all of his info in the show notes at destinyshow.com. But he posts Destiny content on his YouTube channel almost on a daily basis. I feel like you post content multiple times a week. And he is a Warlock main, and his favorite activity in Destiny is the Shattered Throne.
Yeah, man. Do that bad boy solo. Man,
that's impressive.
That's
impressive, yeah.
Never again. They name those triumphs perfectly. Trust me, like never again. Ever.
Well, it's funny because people used to solo raids in D1. You know, that's when you could have. That's when the self-res Warlock was around. You know, it's like we don't have self-res Warlocks though in D2, so can't really solo raids.
No, we're saying that there was actually a tweet. I think it was earlier today or maybe late yesterday, where the influence for Shattered Throne originally came from seeing players solo Crota, and then everyone was like, did you intend Crota to be soloed then? They were like, no, not at all. But when players started doing that, that's where the idea for dungeons and sort of those type of activities sort of came about.
Yep, I did. I've soloed Crota before. Yeah, that was a fun raid to solo.
Yeah,
I felt like, yeah.
So let's start with the discussion with the Guardians, and we're going to put you on the hot seat here, Jarv. What were you thinking trying to solo the Shattered Throne? Did you try it or did you actually do it?
No, I did do it, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I had to do it twice.
You did it twice?
Yeah, this is so bad. So
why?
So it took two and a half hours to do the ogre. And I mentioned before the show, it felt a bit like the last game of Trials with no boons left. It was really high pressure stuff. So I get through that fight and I get all the way to Darwin Karu, and I've got like no power ammo, got no super. I'm literally struggling. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to a public event, rally the flag, and just come back. Did that, took Darwin Karu out, but because I left the instance, it didn't count. So I didn't get the emblem. I didn't get anything. I just got like a legendary. I think it was flipping the rocket launcher.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So you get an emblem. Do you also get a triumph for that?
Yeah.
Too?
Yeah. I didn't get that either. I got nothing.
Oh.
So I had to do it again. But I had to wait 3 weeks for it because I left it really late. It was just sort of takes a long time.
Second time when you went back? Nice.
Yeah. But it was after the patch. So because originally some of the wizards and some of the enemies, they didn't really move too much, especially in the ogre encounter. But then they put a patch in and they started to run away and hide and really sort of like change the way they move around that arena. So it actually made some of the encounters a lot more difficult. I think that was after the power had increased slightly, but it made it so much more difficult, especially when you go back and look at videos, you think, oh, this is a guide of how to do it. And all the ads are just standing still. And then when you're doing it, they're moving all over the place. It's like, what? But yeah, long story short, I've done it in the end and I'm not doing it again. I'll do it as a fire team and I enjoy it. That's as much as it goes.
Now I'm guessing like the best class to take in there is probably a Warlock with Radiant, with the Well of Radiance, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah. I mean, as a Warlock main, my other characters aren't really up to power, so I had to go in as a Warlock, but the Well is just phenomenal, especially for the ogre. You haven't really got to worry about the void darts or anything. Darwin Karu at the end, for sniping with the whisper, 5-6 shots and he's down once you get the...
Guessing Lunafaction then, right? Or yeah, absolutely. Lunafaction for sure. Yep, I agree that if I'm going to go solo it, that's what I'm going to take in there. For sure.
Don't underestimate the grenades as well, like charging them and throwing them down and create yourself a shield and stuff. A lot of people forget about those, and they're great if you're planning to push. You know, you can plan that push and give yourself an overshield.
I always forget about that. Good point.
Now,
good tip.
Would you say that it took you longer to do it the first time that you did it than did the second time?
I'd say the second time was longer after they patched it with all the ads moving around and stuff.
Okay.
It felt it definitely took longer.
How long did it take to do this?
It's probably I'd say a 3.5 hour sitting total. And make your fire team private. There's nothing worse than someone joining you mid-session. The amount of times I've had to restart just because someone thought they'd jump in and help. Yeah,
because you don't get the triumph unless you do it solo, right? That's like
exactly. As soon as someone joins you, that's it. Game over.
Wow.
Oh, rip. So make those fire teams private, Guardians.
Yeah.
If you know what's good for you. Oh man. I would love to do that mission on solo. I have not been brave enough to do that, but I'm a hunter main. I normally play with my hunter, so I may have to check it out the next time it comes around.
You should be okay with the hunter. I think most of the time in the ogre you could shade step and go invisible. That's probably your best bet. And then you've got. If you're invisible for most of that encounter, you'll be fine. I mean, now is probably the great time to do it with the revelry because you could just increase your class ability cooldown or reduce it rather, and
you can go invisible a lot. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I might have to try that out this week then. Yeah, it's available this week, right?
Yeah. You got until Tuesday.
Very nice. I am definitely going to have to check that out then. Maybe this weekend I'll just dive into it and see what I can accomplish. So, TBD. I'll let you guys know how it goes. So, Jarv, how did you get started on YouTube?
Try and cut a long story short, I suppose. So, my YouTube channel started in 2016 originally, and I probably did about 10 or so videos, but then I sort of migrated. I was really still finding myself then, so I sort of migrated from there to Twitch. I used to watch a lot of like MTashed and the Crucible School and stuff like that, so I used to like watching that and playing Crucible in D1, so I used to like trying to do that on Twitch. Tried that for a little bit, but the thing with Twitch, you need a consistent schedule. Consistency is key. I mean, it is with YouTube, but more so with Twitch. If you're not live, you're not growing essentially, and relevancy is really key. So it sort of was really. I was finding it really difficult to balance Twitch and my personal life really. So it was literally in the summer last year. We had an event in Nottingham. It's one of the Get Wrecked events that Anubis arranges over here, and it was. One of my friends, Liam, just said, Jarv, why don't you give YouTube another shot? We were hanging out with Bife and Houndish that day anyway. And it was off the back of that really sort of, I thought, if I'm going to give it a second shot, I'm going to give it everything I've got this time. I'm not just going to make an excuse and let that become my hurdle. I'm going to overcome those hurdles and just trying to keep move forward. And that's really sort of the catalyst that I've sort of approached it this time with sort of, it only stops if you stop. That's really sort of the phrase I tell myself a lot, really. I started again in September last year. So I probably had less than 200 subs when I started again in September, ahead of Forsaken. And I've grown up until this point, just hitting just shy of 5,000 subscribers now. So yeah, September, October, November were crazy growth periods. It was just about being consistent, being regular, and trying to be quite quick with content as well, especially as things are coming thick and fast with new content. You want to be relevant and you want to rank well in the directory on YouTube to, drive those views, and that's what drives your growth. So that's the sort of journey I've been on really, and I've tried to keep that consistency going. It's felt a bit slow in April, but April was actually, for a viewership perspective has been a bit better than sort of February, March, which arguably were a bit better when you think we had Black Armory back then. So yeah, it's just about keep going really. And like I say, there's those weekly cycles that help you stay regular in terms of your research reserves and your invitations and stuff. And it's trying to be creative within those regular weekly cycles really. So yeah, that's where I've got up to. That's where I am right now. Now I'm sat with you guys.
Very cool. And we're really grateful to have you here. So thank you for being here with us and for sharing your story. It's always inspiring to learn about other content creators and how they got started and what motivates them, what inspires them, what struggles they go through. So it's always really fun to have those kind of conversations that you don't often hear in our industry.
Yeah, and it's not like a get big quick special magic formula or anything like that. It's all about hard work and dedication. I know MTash recently was talking about that a little bit on Twitter and stuff, and he's sort of singing along the right notes. It might just come across a little bit wrong for some people, but he's absolutely right, and it's just all about the hard work, dedication. If you can do your research and overcome the obstacles rather than use them and allow them to become excuses for not doing something, then you at least are on the way. And like I said in the pre-show, even then, there's no guarantees. You just got to be persistent and consistent. That's really the aim, really.
Now, and you said you started again 8 months ago, right?
Yeah, around September. So just as Forsaken launched, pretty much.
So what motivated you that second time around to reignite your channel? What was that moment that said, okay, I'm really going to do this and I'm not going to give up. I'm going to give it my all and I'm going to make this successful.
I think it was off the back of the conversation I had with my my clanmate. Really, I've been close friends with Houndish since the end of Rise of Iron, so we play together almost on a daily basis as well. So in terms of like, if I've got any concerns or questions, or no matter how stupid, he's really knowledgeable and very open, and will share insightful things and just help you overcome little things that they seem like big things in your head, but they are, on paper, you can sort of overcome them step by step, really. If you break things down into small pieces, you can overcome any large obstacle. That's pretty much how it pans out, really. And I think just trying to learn from previous mistakes when I started first time, and then make sure I don't make those same mistakes second time around.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but during Rise of Iron, that's where Houndish's channel took off too, and everything, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So when we started playing together, he had probably about 30,000 subscribers.
Oh wow! Yeah, he shot right up there then.
Yeah, he's at about 400 and
400.
something.
Yeah, 400 and change for sure.
Yeah.
I liked Rise of Iron a lot. Like the strikes were really good. Like Sepix perfected and everything. I loved that strike. Like fighting out in the snow and everything. Fighting, like that was so cool. And the music too.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and that the Septix Redux is such a great.
I think everything that Bungie did about Rise of Iron was just very much on point and great. That entire year of content was awesome.
Climbing the mountain.
Climbing that mountain, that entire social space, in my opinion, still to this day is the coolest social space that we've gotten in the game. And the raid was really fun and challenging too that we got with Rise of Iron.
Raid. That was a good raid.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, I've often thought with Rise of Iron, so the social hub, you've got basically the Crucible map right there. And like
Vostok.
Yeah, you got Vostok there, right? So I don't know anything, but like a lot of people feel that it was in D1 and then it's in D2 Vostok, so it's cycled content. But actually, a lot of what was in Rise of Iron had already been, well, it should have been part of what D2 became, but they needed to obviously fill a gap, which is what Rise of Iron became. So I sort of feel like, actually, did Vostok get taken out of D2 and put into D1 to create a social space off the back of that? Was it the absolute opposite? But we never know. I'd love to play the original D1, but we never will. But here we are.
I really hope one day that Bungie releases Destiny 1 on the PC so that people can really enjoy Destiny 1 the way that it was intended without any hardware limitations.
I totally agree.
That would be pretty awesome. Now, Jarv, so since you started on YouTube, who inspired you the most to create content and to become a content creator yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I mean, thinking about it, I used to watch a lot of the Crucible School, just because I used to like Crucible in D1. So M-Tash was a big early influence. Used to play a lot. Some of the Planet Destiny guys back then as well. Obviously, they were growing. I think a lot of the early Destiny videos I watched were all Planet Destiny videos, from what I remember. So those were a massive influence early on, and obviously becoming, personal friends with Houndish over the years has definitely driven and added on that, understanding what challenges that he's had to go through, which, if I ever get to that stage, I feel like I'll be in a good position for it. I know the landscape to YouTube will probably change a little bit by then, but, knowledge is power, but you just have to apply it in the right way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I used to watch Planet Destiny too. Like, that's where I started with my Destiny content watching, and was Planet Destiny, a bunch of Planet Destiny videos and the Planet Destiny podcast. Like, yeah, that was like a weekly ritual, listening to the podcast and then watching the videos like every day that they'd upload and everything.
Yeah.
So
I joined the Planet Destiny content team before I started YouTube. It was probably around over a year ago now. And then to YouTube, I switched to YouTube as part of the content creation panel. So if you look on my YouTube channel, there's about 3 or 4 videos I created for Planet Destiny. One of them is the Mysterious Day Quest. It's got like 47,000 views. That was the most successful video for February, I think. And so that was one that I created for them. So it's a bit hard to create guides for them because not a lot of guides out right now. And that link and them do a fantastic job on all the weekly cycles and stuff. File out and do that. And then when stuff like season options come around, they make more guides and things to make, which is ultimately what my sort of forte is a little bit, really. And I'll go back to be able to make my channel and make guides for the channel again.
Yeah, I think I agree with Shadow Price. I started watching content from Planet Destiny and following their blog and all the different content they put out about different weapons that were coming out in Destiny. So for me, it started between Planet Destiny and Fireteam Chat.
Yeah, Fireteam Chat too. Yeah.
I remember when it was Destin, Fran, and the guy who went to Nintendo. Oh man, what's his name?
Jose Otero.
Yeah. Oh man, that was back in the day. So I remember the OG team, and they
Destin was so salty. Sorry, Destin, but you're cool.
Hey, Destin actually announced that he is getting married. So congratulations, Destin, on getting married.
Many congrats.
Really excited for you. And not many people might know this, but Destin is actually our clan member. We're in the same clan, so we hope to see you back on Destiny. Please come back. We need people to play with. But yeah, so I think that creating content is such an awesome thing. It's such an awesome feeling to be able to create something that people enjoy. And I'm sure you get lots of messages from people, giving you words of wisdom and encouragement on your content. Now, what are some of the challenges that you faced as a up and coming content creator in the last 8 months, being on YouTube?
I think it's overcoming negativity. I think anyone can post anything on the internet, and if you're not actually saying it to a person's face, they can say whatever they like. Some of it's valid, like if there's constructive feedback, absolutely take it on board. But sometimes it's just unnecessary, overzealous negativity. So it's being able to see past that, because at first it can feel demotivating. I'm not going to lie, but after a while, it's you just look past that, and it needs to almost be a water for the ducks back at the end of the day. Take the constructive stuff and obviously focus on the positive engagements that are happening in your comment section. If you want to have a positive community, you don't want to drive negativity. So you want to obviously engage with all the positive comments and the discussions that take place in those comment sections. Move that over into Discord or onto Twitter and things like that, and build that community. So it's really, just looking past the unnecessary negativity. As a small content creator, it just felt like it's very forthcoming at times, but you just need to take the constructive stuff out of it and move on and just keep looking forward and never look back.
What prepared you for that the most? Like, was that something you developed like as you were, doing your content and everything?
A little bit, yeah. I think I'd seen a little bit of that in my early videos when 2016. I think that might have been part of the reason why I stopped, because I just felt it was sort of like unnecessary, or it wasn't constructive, or so it was almost like trying to not necessarily just prove people wrong, but like take the constructive stuff and improve. Just, you're only as good as your last video, so just keep moving forward, and if there's something that can be added to improve it, do that. And then
just staying consistent and always improving and everything.
Yeah,
right?
That's it. Just sort of focus on what you have control of. You can't control someone else's opinion necessarily, and you wouldn't really want to, because everyone's entitled to that. But you just need to, focus on what you have control of and move forward.
That's really well said. And it's interesting because you're right. There is a lot of negativity, especially on places like social media, where people can freely post whatever they want without really thinking about their comments and the repercussions that those comments could have on other people's feelings and psychological well-being. And I have noticed there be a lot of negativity, especially in the Destiny community, because people are very passionate in Destiny with how they expect for the game to evolve and what they think the game should have and what they think the game shouldn't have. And I think sometimes we let our passion get in the way, and it affects how we behave online sometimes.
Yeah, there's always going to be shit posters. I'm sorry. Like, I'll be brief. There's always going to be shit posters, and there's always somebody that posts, "Oh, shit game," and then I'm just like, "Shit comment." It's like, why are you saying something so negative and you're not providing any kind of constructive feedback and everything?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to like leave those things alone, but now sometimes I respond to like when they're like saying something like that to the creators, like, and it's just like, that's just shows no knowledge or anything, just like,
and now you have creators, or now you have people online who are literally review bombing a game because they don't agree what platform the game is coming to, like with Borderlands.
That's just
crazy. As they
crazy.
announced that it was going to be an Epic exclusive, people went apeshit crazy and decided that it was appropriate to review bomb every Borderlands game that ever came out. And it's like, well, what the fuck, dude? Like, why do you think it's appropriate to shit on a piece of content that was released that completely has nothing to do with the game that's coming out? There is a way to voice your opinion and to let your voice be heard, but it's not to review bomb and to shit on hard work
people's
that
hard work
working on. Like, I don't agree with that.
Just look at Anthem, dude. Like, that must be so difficult for BioWare, just to, imagine how that feels to try and motivate yourself to go to work every day, knowing that, just go on their Reddit, dude. Like, you just can't even go in there. But it's there's nothing constructive in there, really. I find it baffling. You know, I think the game, from a core perspective, has the basis of a great game. Yes, there's a lot missing, but you know, like you said, all this shit posting doesn't help. It needs to be constructive, and that's how the studio can move forward.
Now, what are your thoughts on games like Anthem and the whole situation that's going on with BioWare and the reporting that Jason Schreier had done on the game and the publishing side of things?
It's almost like deja vu, isn't it? It was like the influence of Activision over Bungie is sort of over the years. It's quite evident that publishers tend to have a heavy influence over the developers, and unfortunately, there's normally a financial implication to the developers if they don't meet deadlines or and things like that. So, sadly, it doesn't surprise me, especially if how long the development cycle was for Anthem. What was it, 5 years, if not more, 7? I think it was. Doesn't surprise me. Like EA would need to get that money back with all the money they've invested in the game. So it's sad, but it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately, and it probably won't be the last time, in fairness.
It's kind of like EA was finding out that, Bungie was doing a shared world shooter, and then they're like, oh, we need that. That's something we need, and everything too, Well,
Anthem originally was like a survival game. There wasn't even a flight in it. So
so they changed that during development then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's changed so much, but for me, like, they needed to get the game out, and is it any worse than what Destiny 1 was when that first launched? I mean, Destiny 1 got heavily critiqued because of its lack of story, but actually Destiny now is probably the strongest from a narrative perspective it's ever been, with all the lore and everything that it's done. So it just goes to show you can bounce back, but Destiny's just it's a 5-year plus cycle we're on right now, and Anthem can do the same. It's just going to take time, and the publisher needs to stand by the developer.
See, the reason why Bungie was able to bounce back, like, people, like, we knew how fun the game was. Like, when we were playing vanilla Destiny and getting all this awesome loot, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, the story wasn't, like, it was disjointed and everything, but the game itself was fun. Playing with our friends was fun. It was fun to sign on every day and everything.
Yeah. I think Bungie invested a lot of time in late development to how the game felt to play. They wanted it to feel good to play. And we're sat here now, and it's just created so many long-term real friendships, beyond gaming.
Absolutely.
That, you would never or normally see, in a game like Destiny.
Yeah, I think the friendships that I've developed in Destiny were stronger than any other game that I've ever played. I've met so many people playing Destiny, from playing raids to playing crucible activities like competitive. And we're going to talk a lot more about competitive later on in the show, because I'm sure we'll have some things to say about that.
Why, Bungie? Why?
Right? The friendships that you develop, like the very first time that we fought Fogoth Strike with green and white items and armor equipped. It was a challenge. It was difficult. And you gained so much respect to the other people in your fire team, or the very first time that you beat the Vault of Glass. Yeah. Or all the other raids. Think back to when you booted up Destiny 2 and you had that really iconic introduction showing your fire team going through all of the different activities, and it shows who you went into the raids with and who you completed the raids with. Like, those were special moments in Destiny that I don't think too many games are able to replicate.
No.
And that's what keeps me coming back to Destiny each and every time, with every content release, no matter what they come out with, no matter how well or poorly it does with reviews. I'm always there day one to purchase that content, to enjoy that content with my friends, because of the people you get to play this with, and this awesome feeling of playing something new on that day one when the new content drops. It's so awesome. So Jarv, what would you say is your favorite Destiny moment?
It's a biggie, isn't it? I would probably say it was when I was in one of my previous clans. So I run a clan now, but and I have done since 2017. But back in Destiny 1, I was part of a different clan, and one week we sort of decided to do a raid race. So you had to do Fog, Crota, and King's Fall. So you had to do them back to back. You weren't allowed to use any cheeses. You weren't allowed to skip any jump puzzles. Everyone had to do everything. One person had to stream from each team. So it's all very like, okay, everyone's sort of keeping an eye on each other, making sure everyone's doing what they need to be. So I've got quite a close group of friends online, and I have done for 5-6 plus years now. And we raided together a lot. But basically, of the Vault of Glass, I think we were about 15 minutes behind the other team. And then Crota, I think we were about another 10 minutes. So going into King's Fall, we were probably between 20 and 25 minutes behind the other team. And King's Fall was a raid that we do multiple times weekly with this set group. So going into the race, I think we'd done it up to maybe 80, 90 times as a group together. So completing King's Fall was almost like a formality at that point. It was just a matter of how long it was going to take us. So by the time we got to the War Priest, the other team were just going across the jump puzzle towards Sisters. So I said to the guys, look, if we smash War Priest in one phase and get onto Golgoroth, and you can pretty much one phase and a bit Golgoroth quite easily, then we're pretty much at the jump puzzle, and they'll probably only just be moving on to Oryx, or first attempt at Oryx or something like that. So we absolutely nailed War Priest and smashed through Golgoroth and managed to get through the jump puzzle pretty swift. So they were on their, I think, their second attempt at Oryx, and we just entered Sisters. So 5 out of 6 of us were really confident at jumping, and this one guy, Dan, bless him, he hates jump puzzles. You've always got that guy when you're in your fire team that's not great. But Sisters thought it'd choose him twice, and fairness to him, when push comes to shove, he absolutely nailed both phases on Sisters. So we ended up both being on all Oryx at the same time. And it just sort of all came down to who could take Oryx out first. It was such an intense moment. And long story short, I know it's gone on for quite a while already, but we managed to take Oryx out before the other team. They weren't able to finish. And it just became this overwhelming sort of celebration within the Xbox chat. It was incredible. And obviously it was a little bit of to and fro in the clan chat and stuff like that. It felt really good to be so far behind, to suddenly just pull victory out of the grips of defeat, So yeah, I think if I ask any of my guys that were in that team that night, what was your best Destiny moment, they'll probably say the same.
That's an awesome story. So that, how many teams was that? 3?
There was 2. So the other team, they like to call themselves the Alpha team. So we just let them roll with that. And then I think we just gave ourselves a different name. But the names are relevant. The result's what's matter. That's what basically I told my fire team when we went into it. The names are relevant. It's what the result is. And we managed to pull it out of the bag.
Now, were you guys all over on comms, everybody, or just
No, entirely separate fire teams. The only way we could see each other was the one person that was streaming, and that was really just to make sure no one was skipping puzzles or jump puzzles and stuff like that.
Nice.
But yeah, that was probably my best Destiny moment. I don't think I've been able to replicate that. It would take something pretty mad to do that, I think.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I think for me, my favorite Destiny moment would be beating the Vault of Glass raid for the first time, because going into it, you didn't really know what to expect, and just started with this area on Venus where you just get a bunch of Praetorians, and you knew you had to stand on plates, but we didn't quite know what we had to do. And we didn't really know what to expect in the Vault of Glass. Nobody really knew what a Destiny raid felt like, or what it was, or what made it so special and so awesome. And very quickly we learned that it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of coordination in order to beat the Vault of Glass raid, and to finally be able to beat Atheon for the first time. It's such an incredible feeling, and the weapons felt so special at that time in the game, and I think they felt most special at that time, if you think about it, because we got some of the coolest weapons during the Vault of Glass, like the Vex Mythoclast and the Fatebringer and the what's that scout rifle? The Vision of Confluence.
Yeah, legendary weapons.
Yeah, so
I mean they were, but you know what I mean. Yeah,
amazing weapons that later on,
legendary weapons.
had to be brought back as exotics because they were just way too powerful. It's amazing.
I do miss that elemental element on kinetic weapons. You know, just gave them something different. You know, but
yeah, they all had elements at the beginning. Like they couldn't go any better. Like those were the best weapons. Like they didn't get. Like, yeah, there were some PvP weapons that were really good too, some of them, but like as far as like ad killing and stuff like that, like to get you through any of the activities, those were the go-tos.
Yeah. What's that? Is an Arc Nightfall? Get my Fatebringer out. Yep. Unless it was a Saber Strike. That on Arc, oh my days. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I think my first Vault of Glass experience was loading in as a level 28 at the Templar, but we were doing like the oracles, and I had absolutely no idea what was going on. It was just like an infinite amount of ads spawning. I was just randomly dying for no reason. My screen was going black. I had no idea what was going on. I think the first time I completed Atheon was actually when he fell off the edge. I think we pushed him off the edge the first time we did it. I'm not proud of that. Can't believe I just admitted that. But yeah, pushing him off the edge. And even the Templar became a bit of a cheese after a while. If you went a Sunsinger Warlock with Viking Flame and Touch of Flame and Viking Funeral? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my days, yeah. If you didn't have that, you weren't in the fire team.
Yeah, there were some very like funny, quirky, like, you know, moments in D1. That and the loot cave too, and you know, just
even doing oracles up on the cliff edge with Icebreaker, too. Just like it was never intended to be that way, but that's why they extended the refresh rate for the magazine on Icebreaker. But
yeah,
there we go.
That's really interesting. Yeah, it's been a really incredible journey as a Destiny fan for me personally. Anyways, I think that I've had some of the coolest moments in the game, and it's been really fun, really wild to see the game evolve over the course of the many years that Bungie's been working on Destiny. It's crazy to think that the game came out in 2014, and we're on year 5 now. It's crazy.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Shadow Price, what's your favorite Destiny moment?
I think it's a tie between, Vault of Glass, first time, and going flawless in Trials of Osiris and everything. Like, that was a really
that was a big one, too.
Feeling.
Wait, what game mode was that again?
Trials of Osiris.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I know. Right. Like year 1 Trials, season 1, or the beginning of Trials when it first came out it was awesome. The weapons were great. Like the Jewel of Osiris, the Summoner, the Messenger, Tomorrow's Answer. Great weapons. Like they kind of fit that VOG feel because they were so good. And again, elemental primaries. We had
the
them.
Messenger was a beastly pulse rifle as well. I remember.
Yes, it was. It was the better Hopscotch Pilgrim because Hopscotch was really good too, and I had that as well. But I'd have to say it was a tie between those two.
Man, I miss Doctrine of Passing. That was a pretty crazy.
Yes, Doctrine of Passing. I remember that gun. Oh, Man, I miss the weapons in D1.
That was
Pope
so
refers
good,
to it. Pope or Breyer refers to it as the doctor of passion.
Nailed it. So true. Burning Eye as well, the scout rifle. That was a great scout rifle. I used to use that in the Wrath of the Machine all the time with explosive rounds. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those were some good times.
The nostalgia feel right now is crazy.
So, Jarv, looking forward into the future of Destiny, what do you hope to see in Destiny with the upcoming season of the Opulence and this fall?
It's a really important time for Destiny right now. I think season of Opulence is sort of the end of the first annual pass, isn't it? So I think a lot of that would have already been mapped out with Activision. It's just about fulfilling that. So it'd be interesting to see what narrative direction they take that in and whether that's something that leads into the fall. I think that was something I felt like they missed when D1 came to an end, is some form of narrative that sort of went from one to another. It was sort of cut off and start fresh. So this will sort of fill out probably the Callus storyline a little bit more and the progression of that. But where that leads us towards the end of the summer, it's not really clear yet. I know there's been a lot of sort of suggestions about another annual pass model, but if that's the case, they'll need to reassess how they deliver those seasonally, because at the moment, the narrative doesn't really work, and the size of the expansions or DLCs for each season aren't really large enough to sustain the player base and keep them engaged. And then a one-time big expansion in September, I don't think Bungie have had the development time for that anyway. At best, they could do a Rise of Iron size thing, add some real estate to something, because I think that's been a bit of missing. But we'll see. I think the way I look at it, I think one model that's not really been suggested but would be, actually, what if we take a large expansion that's actually delivered over season? So you've got that continuous narrative from season to season. People invest in the game as an annual pass, say $40, which is the same as what expansion would have been for Forsaken, but then that's delivered over the course of a year, season on season. And then that leads you into what D3 would be. That be the start of the narrative story arc to D3, which would be the following, or 2 years, September, something like that. So they could probably do that, because whatever they do in September, they're going to hit Borderlands, which was the original looter shooter. So there's going to be an impact there. It just depends on what they deliver, depends on how big that is to them. But nothing will kill Destiny. The only thing that would take Destiny out would be Bungie and Destiny itself, really. You see those stories, is this a Destiny killer? But it won't be. The only thing that would end it would be itself, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But yeah, that's what I think the fall could look like. Maybe one big thing, but progressively delivered over seasons. One continuous narrative keeps people engaged, gives them a reason to come back. 'Cause it's not just about the loot, it's about the story. And that's what keeps people gripped.
Yeah, I think that with this season of the Drifter, anyways, we got some pretty interesting things with this new season. I think that the lore is some of the best that we got in the entire game. I think we got some really amazing lore this season. I think that there are areas where we were kind of lacking in so many ways. Like, you go into the tower and it doesn't really feel like there's anything really new. There's no vendor refresh. It doesn't feel like you're entering a new season. It almost feels like it's incomplete. Like, you're almost there, you're halfway there, but you need more. And, they can't rely on 3 pinnacle weapons to keep players continuing to grind activities to try to get that one little thing. I think the process needs to be rewarding. And I know you mentioned Borderlands, and I've been going back to Borderlands lately and replaying Borderlands 2. And it's incredible, as I'm playing through that game, I feel like I'm being rewarded at every step of the way. I don't feel like there's a drought of me feeling like I'm being respected with my time and I'm being rewarded in such a way where I'm having fun throughout the entire journey, and not just from, starting the activity and getting whatever pinnacle weapon you are trying to grind for.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there needs to be the vendor refresh. I think they need to be adding a strike or two every season. I think factions are just non-existent. They need to introduce not faction rally, but actually have factions that's meaningful, that refresh as well seasonally. Maybe it's a rank that resets seasonally, like it's a faction wars, and which was originally what was supposed to be in D1, but never really came around. It was in the original development of the game. But factions are a massive missed opportunity. But those are just a handful of things that would make seasons feel like something's changed. You go to the tower and there's a reason to go to every vendor. There's a reason to do things again, not just pinnacle weapons. I think you're absolutely right.
I totally agree with both of you. Oh, sorry, Corn. I totally agree with both of you. It is definitely a critical time for Bungie because coming off of the Activision split, we got to see what they're bringing to the table. The game is kind of having a little bit of identity crisis right now, and just the lore is getting better and everything like that, but they've neglected the Crucible like a lot. We haven't gotten new maps or anything like that in a long time. Some of the environments seem very, I don't know, generic, some of them. And it would be just nice to see what they're planning, what steps they're taking to evolve these systems more and things like that.
It's just giving people a reason to log in every day, isn't it? Like Trials was the thing you'd log in to do at the weekend, and you squad up with your mates, and you would do that all weekends, until you got your flawless on all 3 characters if you were fortunate enough, or just one if you couldn't do it. Outside your milestones, which there's loads of, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I log in and think, where do I even start? But sometimes you want to know where you start before you even boot the game up, and that's what it used to feel like back in D1. You jump on. I mean, House of Wolves was a fantastic time to run Destiny. You had 2 raids, Prison of Elders, which was actually rock solid, and then you had Trials. So you had a good mixture of things to do each week, and I know there's more to do in Destiny. There's more activities, but it's all a bit light, isn't it? Really, it's just doesn't really mean anything now.
And Corn was right. We need more interesting loot. Like, Borderlands, how they have their loot they have just so much of it. Like, I feel like they could do a lot more with the loot and everything in Destiny.
You could do more with the power level too. Like, just having a 50 increase each season isn't a good reason to have a new season. Like power level doesn't matter at all, really. It's just a way of locking you out of the new content and giving you a reason to play it, really. Because how many times have you gone into a really a normal strike, it's maybe about a 300 strike, and you get absolutely nailed by something in the distance, and it's like, I'm like 400 power levels higher than him and I got 2 shot, but if the shoe was on the other foot it wouldn't be the same. And it just feels a bit strange with the power. It's just a way of locking you out of what content is there.
Yeah, I think right now Bungie, they're doing certain things really well in the game, and I definitely love Destiny regardless of the things they're doing right and things they're probably needing to improve upon. And I think a lot of things will change with Destiny 3. I think that it's also important to kind of set proper expectations for what we're going to get in the next year, because it's difficult for them to bring some of these changes that would fundamentally change the foundation of the game. And I think that's the level of change that is required to really make Destiny the game that we continue to come back to each and every week, and we're having a blast along the way. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot that they need to do, and I think a lot of these changes will be seen with Destiny 3, but it's something that we're just going to have to wait to really get. And right now, the best thing that Bungie can do is to keep the player base engaged as best they can with the next year of content leading up to the 2020 fall season, when hopefully we'll start seeing more of the Destiny 3 release and the plans for the future of the franchise.
Yeah, just as something as simple as refresh the vendors and things like that. It's like we need that so much. Like, just to get more variety of loot and things like that. It's because we had that in D1. We had that.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of things that Bungie needs to go back and look at Destiny 1 and reintroduce those things into the game, because honestly, if something's not broke, don't try to fix it, because there are things about Destiny 1 that made the game so special. Let me give you one example. The Queen's Wrath event that took place only one time in the beginning of Destiny, it never came back, but it's an event that would keep people playing the game, that would keep things fun. Or things like Trials of Osiris that kept the Crucible community having fun and playing and feeling engaged, and they just got rid of all that. And it does a disservice to both the community as a whole, but also to the developers who worked really hard to bring us events like, SRL that we haven't seen in quite some time, and they can bring that content into the game to keep things fun, to keep players engaged and feeling like we're getting fresh content, rather than saying, okay, once a month you're going to get Iron Banner, but there's no meat and potatoes behind the activity. So it became a stale event that's just there once a month.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is asking for a lot, because I know they're not Epic. You know how Epic is like Fortnite's crossing over with Marvel like right now and everything like that. It'd be nice if like Bungie could like cross over with something, like Destiny could cross over with something, just to freshen it up. It'd be something pretty cool. I don't know who would they cross over with. Who do you think? What do you think would be the most logical game that they could cross over with? Maybe like I don't know, like I was gonna say Overwatch, but they're not. I mean, they're on the Blizzard launcher still, but
Yeah, it could only be anything on the Blizzard launcher, wouldn't it? Really, you wouldn't have lightsabers suddenly appear on. So selling lightsabers this week, guys.
That'd be pretty cool, though. That'd be pretty cool, though, right? Star Wars and Destiny crossover. Oh man,
that's big bucks. But yeah, it'd be fun if it happened.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's something that would keep it fresh, and that's how Fortnite does as well as it does, because they always keep it fresh. They're always updating the game. Always so.
I really like what they're doing with activities like the Verdant Forest, because those are fun, replayable activities that you can replay in the game. And it would be nice if they brought these kind of things back more frequently than once or twice a year, that maybe we can see them come back once a month, where 1 week out of the month you get to play one special event, another week of the month you get to play something else, and so on and so forth, to keep things fun and interesting, not just twice a year, but to keep things fun all year round. And I think faction rallies could be something that they can very much incorporate into this mix of content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. Faction rallies, they need to figure out what the hell they're doing with that.
Yeah, they need to say something on that front. I think June's going to be a really interesting time, because the first week of June are probably when the season of Opulence will start, but that's also when E3 starts. So are we going to get a season start, and they're going to start talking about the next roadmap literally the week after, about what is coming in September and beyond, because they wouldn't really want to leave it much later than that. But then if they are going to E3, they wouldn't want to go to E3 with nothing. So
that's interesting.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do in June.
And where are they going to show up, since PlayStation's not there this year?
Yeah, exactly.
PlayStation's not there. I don't think Activision's going to be there either, if I'm not mistaken. Are they?
No. But then anything they show would be off their own back anyway, right? They'd have to go as a standalone developer. So
that's right. Yeah. I mean, Corn seems to think that they're going to show up on Microsoft's stage, but
yes, and we have sushi on the line, so this is going to be really big.
It's critical.
Well, look, my feeling on this is that both Microsoft and Bungie are both in a position where they kind of need each other. You know, yes, we have Halo 6 coming, or whatever they call it, Halo Infinite. But I do think that Microsoft needs more exclusive content. They lost Call of Duty to Activision and
PlayStation too.
Yeah.
Would Bungie
that's essentially Activision PlayStation. Yeah.
Would Bungie go back to Microsoft? Because I think when they left Microsoft, they celebrated like the same they did when they left Activision. So
that's what I heard.
Well, look, if you think about it, they could be in a different position now than they were before, right? It's a different era. They're in a different generation right now, right? It's not the same company for both Microsoft and for both Bungie. Because Bungie can now negotiate and say, look, we're not going to give you any copyright ownership of this content, but we'll let you publish our content and have a more fair agreement. And I think people like Phil Spencer, they would be more on board to build out a stronger Xbox platform, especially going into the 2020 season.
Yeah, with those new consoles coming, right?
The new consoles are coming in 2020, so it's going to be a big time for both Destiny and for Microsoft with the new Xbox.
Yeah,
perfect segue.
Phil's done some amazing work at Xbox, completely transforming the brand, actually turning it into a console for gamers and focusing purely on the games. And with new hardware, the sky's the limit.
Yeah,
just to see what the next Xbox looks like.
Yeah, this is a perfect segue. So what are your thoughts on the future of video games with PlayStation 5, Xbox, Google Stadia, and the possible Switch Pro?
I think hardware aside, it's all about getting that some form of cross-save, cross-play in there. You know, if they side with Microsoft a bit more, they might get PC, Xbox cross-save, cross-play maybe. I think more people playing together more often across multiple platforms is a benefit, but obviously PlayStation don't really have a need to do that because they're ahead in the console race, if you want to put it, still. But you're on a clean slate again when the next generation, maybe like you're saying, the outlook is different this time. I think those would be the biggest milestones to overcome. It's just a step up in hardware, really. Google Stadia, I don't know how that differs too much from the xCloud project that Microsoft have had going. They're quite similar in a way, but ultimately, from a competitive standpoint, they aren't going to be the go-to platforms for either, just because of the latency and all those types of things. So you can't beat just having the hardware in your lounge if you're, playing competitively at any level.
And Google is promising lag-free gameplay without having to rely on expensive hardware. Like everything is being processed on the Google servers, which is really interesting about the Google Stadia platform. And I think that will set it apart from what we know will be the next PlayStation console, because we did have a article that was published by Wired Magazine with the creator of the upcoming PlayStation console. What is his name? Something Kearney. Mark Cerny. So that was a really interesting article that definitely described a console that's going to cost at least $500. And from what I'm hearing, the upcoming Xbox console will be more powerful than this PlayStation console, which means that it's probably going to be at least just as expensive, if not more expensive. So I think we're going to be going to a generation where the consoles are going to be between $500 and $600 at the start. And you'll have Google maybe with a $50 controller that's competing with those expensive hardware.
Yeah, I think the consoles now, how they're set up is very much like how mobile phones are set up. I know that sounds like a really interesting comparison, but you have the entry level and then you have the premium level, right? So like I've got a Google phone, so I've got you got the Pixel 3, then you got the Pixel 3 XL, which is a bit bigger and it's got more RAM in it, stuff like that. So essentially the consoles are pretty much going to be set up like that. So if you want the premium Xbox, you're always going to be paying upwards of $500, something like that. But if you want just a standalone, you're not really fussed about having all the bells and whistles, 8K and all that jazz, then you can go with the entry level, which is still be able to play the same games, albeit at maybe a lower resolution. But for me, resolution is one thing, but they absolutely need to nail frame rate on consoles.
Frame rate, absolutely.
Yeah, frame rate. I agree.
If we're playing 8K 30 frames, I'm out. Like, I don't have an 8K TV, but paying that much money.
Oh, you don't want to pay $13,000 for Sony 8K TV? 85 inch.
You know what I mean? I've got a 144 hertz monitor. I don't want to play 30 frames the second game on there if I've just paid £900 for the console or whatever like that. So
yeah, they've got to hit 60. Like there's no excuse now with the power that they're putting in there. Sony showed their hand. Well, now, and I bet you Microsoft's really happy about that because they're like, yeah, we got this. We're gonna be 83. We're gonna show off our specs. We're going to talk about all the developers that we signed last year that they're making these games for us and everything. So, it's going to be interesting.
So, Jarv, what are your thoughts on the Switch Pro that was rumored to come out? Because Nintendo is doing something very unique with their platform. Where you can play at home with a console and a TV, or you can play on the go with a more portable form factor.
Yeah.
Do you have a Switch at all, Jarv?
I don't personally, but I can see what market they're going for. It's all about accessibility, right? Play anything, well, not anything, but play anywhere, at any time.
Play anywhere,
you want to play at home, play on your travels, you can do that. Whereas the other two, PlayStation and Xbox, don't currently do that, although they're trying to do it with cloud services, and multiple devices and things like that. Whereas the Switch is like, no, actually, you just use the same thing that you would use at home. You just take it with you. So, I haven't looked too much into the Switch Pro personally, but Nintendo absolutely are probably doing what's right for them because they sort of stepped aside from the main console race a few generations back, really. I think the last main one I had was like the Nintendo 64, and then from that point forward, the GameCube wasn't really there when it came to competing with like the PlayStation and stuff. So,
well, here's a fun fact about the GameCube. It was actually more powerful than the PS2. Believe it, it was basically on par with the Xbox, the original Xbox. The difference was though the storage medium. Again, they shot themselves in the foot with the storage medium. They used the mini discs that were only 1.5 gigabytes in size.
I remember them.
I remember mini discs. Hey, fun fact, I actually had a mini disc player back in the day.
Wow.
I wish I kept it. I didn't keep it. But it would be a cool little piece of technology to look back now and see how far we've come.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how, Destiny 3 is going to be on the new consoles, because we're assuming that Destiny 3 is either coming in the fall of 2020 or the beginning of 2021, right?
Yeah, I would probably say fall 2020, I think, which would fall directly in line as almost a launch aside new hardware. But then that being the case, they'd be in the same position they were with D1, right, where they had to develop it for a old generation and a new generation. So that's it. So it's whether the current Xbox and the current gen consoles are going to hold it back, because we saw that towards the end of D1's life cycle where the Xbox couldn't really do like King's Fall that well or at all and stuff like that. So yeah.
Now, Jarv, we know that coming in June we will have the new season of the Opulence. How can the Guardians better prepare for the new content that we're going to be playing? Because we know we're going to be getting a new raid. So that's going to require some preparation and some work to make sure that you're on that level, that you're ready to go on day one to play that raid, how do you recommend the Guardians get prepped to play the new content this June?
Man, you just stole my next video idea. No, I'm joking. So
Nice.
it's tough, isn't it? Because none of the powerful bounties or anything like that will actually advance your power level if you've completed them within the current season. So nothing like that will work going into Opulence. The only things you can really do now, which they possibly might change, but it's still a problem, is the keys from the Last Wish raid. You know, the ones that drop when you defeat Riven.
Oh yeah, how can I forget? I've been stacking those for like weeks now.
Yeah, so
oh man,
you can hold 5 in your inventory, and after that, you start going to your Postmaster and you stack them up in your Postmaster. So if you do that, you could have like 25 keys across your characters, 10 in your Postmaster, 5 across your characters. So potentially you could use those as a way of getting powerful loot, but it's because Bungie haven't actually come out and said that they can't do that anymore, because that's what you could do on the previous season. But I know like Chevy and some of the Redeem guys have flagged it to Bungie multiple times over the last couple of weeks as we're getting closer to Opulence. You know, we need to fix that issue if you want a level playing ground going into the new raid, because ultimately that's what we want, right? We don't want like people to plow ahead because they've just stacked up loads and loads and loads of stuff. Everyone needs to start from the same basis. But at the moment you can do that. So whilst you can, I suppose you could, if you can get a raid team together at this moment in time in Destiny. Outside that, it's just materials. If you didn't use the exploit for masterwork cores or enhancement cores, then you can do if you've got the rank 6 clan and then do your clan bounties, you can get, I think, 21 enhancement cores a week across your characters. Plus you can buy them from Spider twice a day if you don't want to spend loads of legendary shards. So you can get lots of enhancement cores, because they're going to change to gunsmith in the next season. So they're going to get rid of scrapper bounties and you'll be able to do bounties from Banshee instead. But I don't know if they're going to be any more rewarding for those types of things. And they're reducing the loot pool as well for the weapons he has. So if you're looking for that fusion rifle that's ridiculous in Crucible, then you might want to try. Yeah, you might want to try and get that now, because they might move it out of that loot pool, for example. Outside that, though, it's just planetary material, so you've got enough to infuse. But whether they change the infusion model, you know, take enhancement cores out of infusion, please. Then we don't really know. But that's the best you can do at the moment, really, is all your materials. And then those keys, just stack them up on your characters and in your Postmaster until Bungie come out and say that that's not a thing. At worst, you know, you might get 1K voices if you haven't got 1K voices.
I actually just got mine like a couple of weeks ago, and then I was like, finally, it took me like almost 50 runs to get it, but finally I got it, and I'm like, okay, now I can relax. I don't have to keep grinding the raid 3 times a week. But now I feel more compelled because we have to get ready for the new season of the Opulence. We are going to be playing a new raid. So I'm trying to prepare as best as I can, because I would love to get a week 1 completion to get that really cool jacket. I know there's going to be a jacket from Bungie Rewards. That's what I'm really waiting to try to get, that jacket. And it would be so awesome to get one for the new raid.
I'd love to get my hands on one of those jackets too, man. It's just getting the team to stay together, really.
Yeah. Are you going to be trying to go for a day 1 completion or the first weekend completion?
It depends on, I suppose it depends on whether we're playing field with the raid keys being fixed ahead of time. And then it just depends on how much time we have between it launching and the raid becoming available. I think like when they put it like launch on a Tuesday, raid on a Friday, it's like 3 days of solid grinding. Is probably not great for the majority of players. But you know, they could probably do the raid the following week and give more people more time, and maybe only allow you to level up so much so you can't over level yourself for the raid. I think that's what's probably hindered previous raids, apart from Last Wish, is that you've managed to over level for them, which obviously then makes the content not as enjoyable.
So do you think your chase will depend on whether or not they fix that raid key glitch?
Yeah, I'm not going to stack up those keys personally. I'm just going to focus on my materials and things like that, on the things that I think I should sort of stack up on and build up on, all my tokens and stuff like that. Tokens, all my materials and stuff. Then,
how are you doing on enhancement cores?
I got 51, I think. 51.
I've been stacking them. I got about 135 right now. I've been just.
I'm not infusing anything. Like if I need to get something, I dismantle it and I grab it for my collections at 680 light. And like most of my gear is 700 on my armor. So, at worst, I'm like 695, 696 or something like that most of the time. So I'm still like above delta. I'm not in negative delta when I go into activities. So being max power doesn't really mean anything. So I get away with it like that for now.
Yeah, I've been saving them up.
Yeah, me too. I've been pretty much saving up all of my enhancement cores, pretty much all of my legend. Consistent basis here, but right now I still have a few things to chase after in the game. I still have to finish my Dredgen title, which Shadow Price, congratulations. I know you did get your Dredgen title finally completed.
Thank you.
So congrats on that. Shout outs.
Thank you.
But I still have to do mine. I would like to maybe get one of the raid titles completed. Although Flawless Raid, I am not the best at the jumping puzzles, so that might prove to be a struggle, because I freaking suck when it comes to jumping puzzles, and I have the worst luck. I'll be that guy that like stays alive for every encounter, but then like there's that one little jump and I screw it up for the entire team. That's such pressure.
Good news, Corn.
Yeah.
Mario Maker is coming on June 28th. Lots of practice. Man,
awesome. That's great. Maybe by August I'll GG. I'll get better so that I can actually do all the jumping puzzles and do that a trip triumph. So that would be cool. But other than Destiny, Jarv, what video games are you most excited to play this year?
Well, Borderlands 3, obviously, no doubt, towards the end of the year.
Yes, I am so excited. Oh man, I can't wait to play the game. It's going to be so good. I'm so ready for it.
I've got Division 2, but I haven't really dabbled too much into that just yet. I've been dabbling in a few indie games lately. I'm focusing on sort of the coopetition genre, so it's not BR game per se, but there's like the Cycle, which is like it's a PvE VP game essentially. The Scavengers as well is a new one, which is from Midwinter Entertainment. So we spoke about that pre-show. So that's from some of the guys that split from 343. Some went to Bungie, and some created that studio to start making that game.
When's that game coming?
So they've got pre-tests early 2019. So any time now, really. They are going to E3, but I don't know what they're going to have there, whether it be another trailer, gameplay instead. Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. Focusing on, team play, as well as, direct combat with other players, as well as AI combatants, objectives to complete. It's a bit of a survival game as well, because it's like a apocalyptic world, like a new ice age. So you've got to stay warm and hydrated as well. So that's going to force you to make, certain decisions based on your, are you going to die to the storm? Or are you going to die to, enemy players or AI? So it's an interesting take on the game. So I just want to see how that plays out. So those types of games are a bit of an interest to me because they're something a little bit different. And it's not really a genre that's sort of mainstreamy because it's not really BR. The map doesn't shrink or anything like that. So it's more about the objectives on the map, which is what draws the players together, rather than the map forcing players together. So it's a bit different in that sense. And the worlds are living as well. So like Fortnite, for example, there's nothing in that map other than the players that inhabit it. Whereas these games are, are like live sandboxes essentially. So Scavenge is initially with PC. The Cycle's on PC, but I think they've said they're going to be bringing that to console. So there's a couple of platforms there. PC primarily to start with.
Cool. Well, we'll have to check that out for sure. And I'm really excited to play actually the upcoming mainline Pokemon game that will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. And I think that's something I'm super excited about. Besides Borderlands 3, obviously that's going to be a day one purchase. But besides that, I would say something completely different from FPS games like, Destiny and Borderlands and even the Division 2. I really want to check out the Division 2, but I am so overwhelmed with playing through Borderlands 2 again now that they released a new patch. And actually, shout outs to Captain Kobe, who released a new mod update for one of the most popular mods in Borderlands 2. Let me just find the name of it. It is called Borderlands 2 Reborn, a mod pack, and I'll make sure to add this info to the show notes if you guys want to check that out. But actually, Captain Kobe will be a guest on our Borderlands podcast called The Borderlands Show. So he'll be on as a guest next week, and we're going to talk to him about the mod that he created and some of the things that we can expect there. But I know I'm going off tangent here. Sorry. But I'm really excited for video games in 2019 because despite the fact that Xbox and not Xbox, Sony, well, I guess Xbox too, because Xbox isn't really going to have too many big titles released this year. They will be at E3. We do know they will have a presence at E3. I'm thinking we're going to see the new Xbox console revealed there on that stage.
Yeah,
but that's just my thought.
I think so. I think people won't really think about the games too much unless they show a new Halo Infinite trailer, which will make sense to have that as a launch title for the new Xbox. I mean, what better game to launch a new console with? I mean, they haven't done that with a Halo game since the original Xbox. So, I think you're right. I think the console will be the main focus, and then probably show off some of the games that their developers that they took on last E3.
Mm-hmm.
They covered quite a lot of, didn't they, about all these new developers that have been creating games. So we'll find out what they've been getting on with for the last 12, 18 months.
Guys, I'm going to totally call it, and I think that Xbox is going to feature the next generation console, and they're going to feature the upcoming Halo 6 or Halo Infinite, and they will feature the Master Chief Collection remastered for the PC. That's going to be their center stage thing. They will talk about some of the projects that we can expect in 2020 with the upcoming console. We're going to see some of those early launch titles that they've been working on. We might see some developer highlights from the new companies that they acquired last year. They have acquired some new game development companies and studios. So we're going to see some cool things from Xbox, and they're going to use this chance as their time to shine because Sony's not going to be present at E3 this year. Neither will EA. So it's going to be heavily dependent on Microsoft and Nintendo to take the lead and show off some really cool things this year.
Yeah, Square Enix is taking PlayStation's spot. They're taking their slot. So their press conference is going to go at 6 p.m. Pacific on that Monday.
I think you're right when you think about what Borderlands has done this year. So they've released the remasters of the main third game at the end of the year. So what better way to lead into Halo Infinite than do the whole Master Collection remaster? So the best those games could have been on PC, they're going to be launching those throughout the next 9 to 12 months because I think Reach is going to be the last one. And
do you think they're going to announce Reach on that day?
They've already said it's going to be part of the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah. Do you think they'll make it playable that day though? That they'll say it and it's out today and it's out right now.
They'll do some announcement like that. I don't know if it'd be Halo Reach.
Shadow drop.
I think.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, I think that they totally would shadow drop Halo Reach on PC the day that they have their E3 announcement. The reason why I say that is because they actually started inviting people already to beta test this content. So if they're doing that so early on, they must have it ready to be a playable thing in the game. And for a remake, we know that it's something they've been working on for quite some time. So it's not like they're building out a whole new platform for people to play on. They're upgrading their current platform, which I think it's going to make it a little bit easier for them to release the game. So I think it would be a perfect time for them to release the Halo Reach part of the Master Chief Collection during E3. I think that would be something quite perfect for them to do.
Well, we've got only 46 days to find out.
Yeah. Exciting times. Yeah. So before we dive into...
Hey, what about my video game that I'm most excited to play?
What are you most excited about, Shadow Price?
A couple games. Astral Chain, coming from Nintendo and Platinum Games, and the director of Nier Automata. I can't pronounce that too good. Automata, yeah. And I'm excited for that game. I'm excited for Dragon Quest XI for the Switch version. And I know a couple of these are Switch games. I'm actually excited for also, Master Chief Collection for PC. And what's the other game? I was just thinking of it. The Outer Worlds. That's Obsidian, and Microsoft owns them now. But they were developing that game, so it was already going to be multi-plat and everything. It looks like a more interesting Fallout to me. So, and Obsidian's known for their good development studio. I think so.
It's really interesting that you mentioned Nier Automata because that's a game that our last week's guest praised very highly, and
Rami, that one too. Mm-hmm.
He was talking about that as being like one of his favorite games of all time. So that definitely is a game that I want to check out sometime this year.
And Link's Awakening, the one they're bringing to Switch. I want to play that, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, because I never played the original on Game Boy, so it would be cool to play this one and everything.
And Mario Maker 2. Hey Jarv, can you tell that we're Nintendo nerds? Is that apparent in any way at all? It might be.
Maybe a smidge.
Just a tiny bit, right? Just a little bit. A little bit. So, Jarv, the final question of our discussion with the Guardians, we almost made it through. Where do you see yourself 12 years from now? Where do you see yourself 12 months from now?
12 months from now. I mean, it's really hard to say, isn't it? Because the YouTube landscape will probably change between now and then, but being able to adapt is probably the key part. 12 months, I'll probably be in and around probably the 15,000 subscriber mark, maybe. If current trends continue and there's a big expansion in September again, because you get the uplift from that. So probably around there, but I'm just focused on the next video and just sort of brainstorming ideas based on what's right in front of me right now. I think because we don't even know what Destiny, which is basically my main game, looks like, it's really hard to say, really, because my success really depends on how successful the game is to a degree. So that's a loose look of what probably 12 months looks like for me. If I get anywhere near that, I'll be absolutely overwhelmed. I mean, to get where I am now in just 8 months has been incredible. So I try and keep my feet on the ground and just try and keep things realistic and just move forward day by day.
Right on. Now, do you see yourself maybe covering more games than just Destiny, or do you see yourself primarily being a Destiny content creator?
I think Destiny will be the go-to, just because that's where there's got a deep passion for Destiny. But I've dabbled in a few games. Borderlands I'll most definitely be looking at, but that's going to be quite a saturated time towards the end of the year covering that. Obviously there'll be a lot of content creators covering that, so it'll be difficult to rank well with a game like Borderlands. So you're going to have to be smart with the types of videos that you put out with that. And like I say, Scavengers and a few other indie games, which sort of emerging games, I'm sort of, supporting those developers and trying to see how those games develop over the next sort of 12 to 18 months, because those could be quite interesting titles, which are games that people would turn to when their main game sort of quiets down or they want to try something a little bit different, right?
Like Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. I'm excited for that one because I like Castlevania.
Yes, it's so like right now with Destiny, it'd be a perfect opportunity to dabble in another game, or I haven't finished Horizon Zero Dawn, let me go play that and finish that off. You have the opportunity to do that now because you're not really missing out on anything, right?
Excellent game, by the way.
Yeah, man.
So many games on PlayStation I have to do that with. The Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, the list goes on. I have just so huge of a black backlog.
That's the only reason I have a PlayStation, for those exclusive games. They're absolutely phenomenal.
I have a PlayStation for Beat Saber because Beat Saber is awesome. That's what I play on there. It's something that I like to play whenever if I'm ever stressed out, or if I'm nervous about something or anxious about something. Like last week we interviewed a pretty legendary figure in our community, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous, going into it. I'm like, this is big, don't blow it, Corn. This is your big moment. Don't screw it all up. So I decided to go and play some Beat Saber, and man, it was so much fun. I'm starting to dabble with expert mode, so I'm getting better slowly but surely.
You'll be a pro before you know it, mate.
Working on it. And actually, they're hiring for this community manager gig that I am applying for, although they want me to go and move to fucking Croatia. What the shit? I looked at the application, I'm like, I want to apply because I think it would be really fun to do. But Croatia? I don't know if I can make that move, man. That would be a little much. But I'm still going to apply, although I will request that they allow me to work remotely. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, good luck with that, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Catch us live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/The Destiny Show. If you like the show, please share with friends, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Destiny content. You can find The Destiny Show podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, Podbean, and all major podcast platforms. New episodes available Fridays.